Good morning. And this morning I'd like to talk about why I think games companies should throw the book at anyone caught cheating. I already touched on this in my video about FaZe Jarvis and why I thought Epic were right to ban him from Fortnite. But while most people agreed with my opinion in that video, some didn't. They seemed to think that Jarvis shouldn't have had such harsh treatment. Well, they were wrong, and here's why. A few days ago, I was sitting in the front room reading a book, and my kid was playing Fortnite. It was all going pretty much as you'd expect, and he seemed to be having fun, but then he shouted, "Hacker!" I looked up but thought nothing of it at first, as he sometimes gets animated when someone gets the drop on him during the game, and we all know what that's like. Instead of starting a new game, though, my kid continued to follow the person who'd killed him. And I was curious, so I watched too. I was amazed, but not exactly shocked, to see that the guy was moving forwards towards a car. He didn't look around at all. Instead, he seemed to be laser-focused, looking, as far as I could tell, straight at the car. He crouched behind it, still looking straight ahead, then moved out from behind the car just as someone emerged from a building. He then proceeded to shoot them unerringly in the head until they dropped. This was, to say the least, suspicious, and it appeared that he might be using aimbot and wall hacks to see people behind buildings and cars. This was confirmed when he approached the building. He seemed to be tracking someone who was inside, which obviously you shouldn't be able to do. And sure enough, as he positioned himself behind a door, a guy came through it. He got the drop on them too and took them out from behind before they could even react. It was obvious to me at this point that the guy was, as my kid put it, hacking or cheating. And, you know, we've all seen this before. I watched Dr. Disrespect as he followed someone and ranted about their obvious use of aimbot. It's rife, both in Fortnite and other online games, and it's one of the reasons why I often don't bother with online games anymore. And that's precisely why companies should be utterly uncompromising when it comes to cheating of any sort. As I said in that previous video on the subject, you start to doubt everybody after you've been unfortunate enough to encounter a few cheats, and that ruins the fun of the game. In the end, it becomes pointless playing, and that's a problem for both the gamer, who's no longer able to play and enjoy the game they played for, and for the company who made the game, who will be losing considerable amounts of revenue, either from lack of sales within the game itself, or from the sale of the actual game. After all, if a game is primarily online like Fortnite or some other shooters like COD for instance, why would you install or even buy the game if you've heard that it's full of people cheating? Fortunately, Epic do take this very seriously, and that's why they banned Jarvis. But what happens when a company no longer cares? Well, that's why I'm using gameplay from Fight Night in this video, as you've probably noticed already. Most of the gameplay I'm using isn't of someone cheating, but the style of the opponent I'm against is very similar to what you might expect from a cheat. They often, no, not always, because some are a little bit more subtle and tricky. But as I say, they often come forward relentlessly, throwing shot after shot with complete disregard for what you might be doing because, well, it actually doesn't matter to them. In this instance, it ends with my opponent being tired and ultimately losing the bout. But with cheaters, well, they just don't tire. In fact, their shots are often so hard and fast that they'll knock you out with ease in the first round, or maybe the second if you can hold out that long. I'll show you what I mean. Let's pause the fight for a moment and take a look at another fight where someone did just that. Right, here we are, and the fight's about to start. And when it starts, it's all pretty normal. He's missed a shot there, missed another one. I catch him with a couple. He catches me with a couple. It's all fairly normal. And I hit him with a power shot to the midriff. He's still throwing punches. And then wait for it. Here it comes. There you go. And we go straight to the animation where I get up. There's no replay of the shot. And I would suggest that that's because he doesn't want anyone to see the punch, because it's almost impossible to see it. It's that fast and that powerful. And there again, another one. I couldn't even get out of the way of that. It was so fast. And then he just takes me down again. It's easy. There's nothing I can do. Straight through my block. And this is the first round. It's not like I'm tired or anything. And I get back up. Again, we didn't really see the replay. And he comes in and he starts again. And here we go. And he's about to take me again any second. There you go. Another one. That came out of nowhere. Couldn't see that coming at all. And that's it. I'm down. Did you see the punches that knocked me down? No, me neither. You also get people that can dance away so quickly that it's like fighting against the Flash, or those who can block everything while hitting straight through you as if your guard is non-existent. You can't even stay away from them and try to outpoint them because their power shots are faster than your jab and will always catch you sooner or later. And I know some of you might say that I'm just bad at the game, but I've played enough of it that I can tell when punches, movement, etc. are modded. And this boxer was modded. You don't get punches like that coming out of nowhere that just knock you down, that you can't move out the way of, or block, or do anything about. It's just not how it works. You know, you'll get it occasionally, but not punch after punch. And, you know, Fight Night Champion is one of my favourite sports games of all time. And I've even made videos talking about why I want to see another version of the game instead of EA's MMA affairs. But frankly, I wouldn't want another Fight Night game if it ends up being like Fight Night Champion. Because Fight Night Champion shows us what happens when a game company simply stops caring about cheats. EA released Fight Night Champion on the 1st of March 2001 for the Xbox 360 and the PS3, so, you know, it's a pretty old game now. And hardly surprising that EA no longer cares about it. And, you know, to be honest, I'd have expected EA to have closed the servers for the game by now, but they haven't. And perhaps that's because it was recently added to EA Access on the Xbox and made available as a backwards compatible title, which gave it a renewed lease of life. Unfortunately though, as I say, the online aspect of the game isn't getting much attention from EA, and while the servers are still up, there have been problems with downloading boxes, bad connections, and so on and so forth. But by far the worst aspect of the game is, surprise, surprise, the number of cheats who are on there now. If it was just the occasional cheat, it wouldn't be that much of an issue. But it isn't just the occasional cheat. The fight I showed you is just the tip of the iceberg. Sometimes you can go for 10 fights or more before finding someone who isn't cheating. It's made the online aspect of the game completely pointless for anybody who wants a fair fight. Now, for obvious reasons, I'm not going to go into the detail about the methods people use to cheat, but suffice to say, it's far too easy. Don't believe me? Well, let's just take a look at the leaderboard and see how dominant these cheats are. So yeah, here we are. We're in Fight Night Champion, and we need to go into Xbox Live and World Championship. And then from there, we're in heavyweight. Let's go to leaderboards. So we go to leaderboards. And the first one we see here, if you look on the left-hand side here, current streak. Now that means wins without a loss. And the first one we see is 1,281 wins without a loss. This guy's had 3,010 wins and 122 losses. And I would hazard a guess that most of those losses, if not all of those losses, have come against people who also were cheating. And next one, 749 wins without loss. 954 wins without loss. 1,302 wins without loss. 26, oh, that's more reasonable. 1,379 wins without loss. 1,461 wins without loss. And if you look here, 1,461 to nil. So there are no losses at all there. So, as you can see, 323 is a bit more reasonable. And yeah, 545, and so it goes. And you just keep going down, 209 wins. But as I say, these are ridiculous. 1,302 wins, no losses. I don't care how good you are. You don't get 1,302 wins without any losses to anybody. You're not that good. Nobody is that good at an online boxing game. You know, I've seen some people who are really good and yeah, they can make you look really stupid, but you can always get hit with a lucky hit. You can always come up against someone who is almost as good as you or a little bit better than you. But what happens when you come up against these guys? Most of the time they just come forward throwing punches and they'll usually knock you out in the first round. Be interested to see how many first or second round KOs these people have. But anyway, I just thought I'd show you that. Let's get back to the main part of the video. As you can see, it's bloody ridiculous. But as I already said, Fight Night's an old game, so why am I banging on about it? Well, we started this video by mentioning Jarvis and how some people thought his ban was too extreme. But was it? If companies like Epic don't take cheating seriously and send out a message that it won't be tolerated, what we see in Fight Night will be repeated in every game out there. Cheating's already a big problem, even with companies like Epic being vigilant. And I, for one, would rather see more done, not less. Because I don't want to be paying for my kid to play games where he can't compete because some little toe rag is using aimbot or wall hack or any other cheat. And look, you know, my kid's going to quickly stop playing and move on to something more fun if cheats aren't stopped. And, you know, it's the same for all of us, isn't it? We don't want to be playing in an environment where half the people playing or even more than half the people playing are cheating. It just takes away all the fun. I used to play pool in a biker bar many, many moons ago. And if you were caught cheating at pool, you'd have been taken out back and given a good kicking. Now, look, I'm not advocating going down that route. Punishments have to be proportional. But we can't allow the idea that cheating is okay to take root. If we do, well, Fight Night Champion will become the norm and the cheaters will dominate every game from FIFA to Fortnite, from COD to Rocket League and on and on. So, no, I wouldn't resort to violence, but I would ban all cheats for life. You get caught cheating, you're banned. They're the scum of the earth, and we need to do everything we can to make their lives in gaming as uncomfortable as they have for us. It needs to be as uncomfortable as possible. And for those of you who would respond with, get good, I have two little words, and the second one's off. I'm not particularly good at any video game these days, as I don't have time to practice, but being beaten by someone with superior skill is not the same as being cheated. Cheats aren't good. If they were, they wouldn't have to cheat now, would they? They're lazy, sad little inadequates who wouldn't win a game of noughts and crosses with their own reflection. And they cheat because they're deluded enough to think that it makes them better than those who win through skill. Here's a revelation for you. It doesn't. But anyway, look, that's what I think. You guys, as ever, might think I'm talking a load of old nonsense. If you do, let me know in the comments. If you agree with me, let me know in the comments and we can have a chat about it. And if you like this one, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, thumbs down, all the usual stuff. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell and all the other stuff. And in the meantime, I'm going to go and grab myself a cup of tea. And I'll speak to you guys in the next one. Bye.